Hi everybody, welcome back to this edition of Dance Studio Owner Tips. Today I want to talk about how to communicate with your students, how to get them to communicate with you. Communication is so important. And we know nowadays, I say nowadays, I'm kind of dating myself, but in this tech age that we live in, students are so immersed in social media that they can hardly even get their eyes off their phones. So one of the things we've installed in our studio is just a little rack where they can place their cell phones. And when the students come into the studio, they know that they must immediately go to the front desk where they can safely put their cell phones in whilst they're at the studio. And we've found that this has been a huge help to getting them to stop looking at things and focus in, because we're really looking for these students to focus for their own, betterment, really, because if they don't focus in classes, they're not really getting all the information that you're trying to give them. Of course, in the beginning, you may get a little pushback because, God forbid, they don't have a phone. And what I always say to them is, look, kids, the parents know where you are. If there's an emergency, they'll find you. And if it's just a friend, if they're truly your friend, they'll try you later. So weaning them off that has been very successful for us. The other thing is, as teachers, understanding that students learn differently. There are different types. There are visual learners, there's tactile learners, there's all different kinds of learners. So it's adapting your classes so that you can really get the focus from all these different types of learners in your classes. And once you recognize that, it really does make it much easier. We ourselves had a student who kept moving all the time in class, and at first it was very distracting. But once we realized that this was her way of learning, we've adapted to her, and she's really become a great dancer now. So it's possible, but it's very important for your students that you really get them to communicate with, not just with the teacher, not just with themselves, but with their peers. Just having them sit down and look at each other and talk to each other without the phone is quite refreshing, actually. But it's also going to help with their performance, because the eyes are so important. The communication between them and the audience is so important. So if we don't train them, nobody out there is going to be training them, I can tell you. It just isn't happening. It's not happening in schools, a lot of times not at homes, because parents are busy, everybody's working, trying to make it happen. So try it. If you're not already taking the cell phones, they just put them there at the end of the night, they get them back again, and all is good. So try to get your students to communicate more with each other, even when there's drama between them. We know when we have a bunch of preteen and teen girls, there's going to be drama. And we try to resolve it by getting them to sit down face to face and have a conversation. And if they have difficulty, we'll help them in a little bit. But communication is one of the skills for dancing, just for being a human being, that is so important. So try it out with your students. Good luck.